lot of people want to be entrepreneurs. It's a huge part of society, to certainly Western society, to want to start an e-commerce or an online or indeed a business. But why is it so hard to do that? Why is it so hard to start a business? Why do so many people fail? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why that is and also give you some tips on how to overcome it so that you can succeed. Now, if you like this kind of information, where I'm helping you build your own e-commerce business right here in Australia, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. That way I will know that you want to see more information just like this. Also consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. We post brand new money-making information just like this each and every day. If you've got any questions for me, comment below and I'll answer personally for you too. With that being said, let me show you how to deal with this. I thought about the way society tells us one thing and the way that we're conditioned for one thing versus what entrepreneurship actually requires of us. Okay, so I've approached it from that angle. And these are kind of like entrepreneurs' paradoxes in a way. Okay, so here's our first entrepreneur's paradox, and it is all about failing. So society, school, definitely work teaches us not to fail. Failure is bad. For the love of God, don't get something wrong. It's beaten into us, okay? And yet, entrepreneurs have to embrace failure. It's without a doubt one of the most important things about being an entrepreneur is the knowledge that you're going to get it wrong often until you get it right. And even when you get it right, there's still things within that that are going to be wrong that you can improve. It's just a different way we have to think about things, and we have to unlearn all this stuff that we're taught about failing. Okay, so that's a paradox. Next one, persuading and persuading people. Okay, so most people think of persuasion as the person who's doing all the talking is trying to persuade somebody. Okay, but the reality is totally different. The reality is the best persuaders, actually what they do is they ask questions and they listen. They ask questions and they listen. The quiet people are typically the best persuaders. So this is another kind of thing that society tells us. You've got to be type A personality, you know, you've got to be aggressive, you've got to be shouty, you've got to be going for it. And actually, to be an entrepreneur, to sell as an entrepreneur, to persuade as an entrepreneur, the opposite is true. You've got to be quiet. You've got to ask questions. You've got to listen. Okay. It's a paradox. Paradox of productivity. There's this idea within the entrepreneurs community that you've got to grind it out. You've got to be working all the time. Okay. And it's just not true. The more time you are working, so what happens is your things that you've got to do, they expand to fill the time that you've actually got, that you've allocated to them. Okay. And so the paradox of productivity is actually the less time you allocate to a task, the more you will get done. The more you'll get done because you'll focus with laser-like focus on getting that thing done within the time that you've set yourself to do it. So instead of allocating heaps of time for something, try the opposite. Allocate a very, very short time for something. You're thinking about what to sell. Well, say, I'm going to spend 2 hours doing this, and at the end, I'm going to have a product, and that's going to be the product that I'm going to go with. Okay. Nail it. Just shorten it. Make yourself focus. Paradox of productivity. So I had somebody say it's kind of like it's working like a lion. So if you look at lions, what they do is they feed, they chase something, massive amount of speed, they chase the thing, they catch it, they feed, and then they rest. Entrepreneurs tend to work like that too. It's not a constant. These things tend to go in bursts. Okay. Number 5, advice. So here's an interesting one for somebody who's in the advice business. Oftentimes advice sucks. Oftentimes advice sucks. It's well-intentioned, but it's wrong for you. It's well intentioned, but it's wrong for you. So my path to reaching my own life goals, wealth goals, business goals, and things like that is going to be necessarily different to your path, because my makeup is different, my personality is different, the things that I value, the things that are important to me are different. And so I will eke out my own way based on those things, okay? Your path is going to be different. It's going to be different. So whilst you may ostensibly be doing the same thing as I am, the way that you approach it and the way that you get there is necessarily different, okay? And so what I've come to realize is I believe the best advice comes from somebody who is 1 or 2 steps ahead of you on that particular game, okay? 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. So they've quite literally just done the thing that you're struggling with. They've just done that recently, preferably. I think that's the very, very best advice. I'm acutely aware that as somebody who's helping people, that means that I don't always give the best advice. I don't always give the best advice. Okay. I'm acutely aware of that, but I truly believe that's where the best advice comes from. So if your goal is to get to $10,000 a month, then you're currently at 5, for instance, then find somebody who's at $15,000 a month. And that's the best person to ask that question to about what's next, what comes next, how am I going to get there next, what's that step, what's that gap, okay? Be a much different thing than to asking me. And I'm like, well, what you need to do is you outsource this, you get your VA to do that, you get this team to do that. And that helped me get to 1 million, 5 million, whatever it is, okay? But that doesn't help you get to 10,000. It's different. Hope that makes sense. Which is why the AOE community is so good, because we have people at all different levels, at all different junctures of their path. That's what makes it so good, I believe, anyway. There is always something else you can do. There's always another shiny object to go follow. Okay. And the paradox of opportunity is what you actually want to do as an entrepreneur is learn to say no. Most people say, oh, you got to say yes to everything. Well, that's just bollocks. You want to learn to say no and to focus on what's really, really important for the particular phase of your journey. Okay. And just laser-like focus on that to help you get there. Society says you should do more. Entrepreneurship says you should do less. You should do less. Okay. You want to focus on the things that matter and ignore everything else. It's one of those things that we're hardwired to see. It's a survival mechanism that our vision is actually attuned for change, and our brains are attuned for change. Okay. We hardwired to see that. And as a result of that, entrepreneurs often suffer from shiny object syndrome. But what you want to do is focus. You want to focus on the next step. Hey, thanks so much for watching that. That actually was a video from my regular Monday night Q&A session with the members of the Aussie Online Entrepreneurs. There's 2,500 members in our community. We're the fastest growing community of professional e-commerce sellers right here in Australia, with sales, by the way, of over $50 million. If you'd like to find out more about what we do at the Aussie Online Entrepreneurs, and also of course come and join us, get yourself off to www.aussieonlineentrepreneurs.com.au. That link is in the description below, and I will see you on the next video. Until then, thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.